In the boundless windswept prairies of North America, beneath a sky that stretches endlessly, a shadow moves with silent intent. Here in this sea of golden grass, a creature exists almost as a rumour, seen by few, known by even fewer. It is a phantom of the grasslands, a fleeting presence that glides through the dusk, vanishing as quickly as it appears, a whisper in the dark, barely disturbing the hush of twilight. This is the black-footed ferret, a master of concealment and agility, a small but relentless carnivore shaped by the demands of a world both beautiful and unforgiving. Its body, long and supple, is a living ribbon of muscle and fur, perfectly engineered to slip through the winding, narrow tunnels beneath the earth, its true domain. The ferret's coat, a pale, buffy yellow, mirrors the faded grasses of late summer, rendering it nearly invisible as it weaves through the undergrowth, a living shadow among the stalks. Its face is marked by a bold, dark mask, eyes gleaming with intelligence and caution, while its feet and tail are tipped in black, signatures of a bandit that moves unseen. These striking features, glimpsed only in rare moments, lend the ferret an air of mystery, an unforgettable vision for any creature that crosses its path. The black-footed ferret is a solitary wanderer, emerging under the cover of darkness. Night is its ally, the moon and stars its silent witnesses as it begins its nightly hunt. As the prairie is bathed in silver light, the ferret glides through the grass, every movement calculated, every step a testament to its survival. It moves with a silent, fluid grace, hugging the earth, senses attuned to the faintest tremor or scent, navigating a labyrinth of tunnels that form its hidden kingdom. This is not a creature of the open plains, but a sovereign of the underworld, vanishing into the earth at the slightest hint of danger, leaving only a ripple in the grass. Deep below, in the cool, silent dark, the ferret finds sanctuary. Here it rests, hidden from the burning sun and biting cold, wrapped in the safety of its subterranean fortress. Its presence is betrayed only by the faintest tracks in the dust, a fleeting shadow at the edge of vision, a ghost whose story is written in silence and secrecy. Every moment is a test of vigilance. The prairie is a stage for constant drama, and the ferret's life is a delicate balance between hunger and caution. As a mid-level predator, it stalks its quarry with patience and precision, yet remains ever alert, knowing it too is hunted. The prairie is home to many dangers. The ferret must be swift, vanishing into its tunnels at the first sign of threat, its heart pounding in the darkness. Coyotes roam the grasslands, their noses sharp, ever searching for the faintest trace of prey. Above, great horned owls drift on silent wings, their eyes piercing the darkness, ready to strike from the sky. Even below ground, danger lurks. Badgers, powerful and relentless, can invade the ferret's labyrinth, turning sanctuary into a trap. Every venture above ground is a calculated risk, a fleeting dash into the open where every shadow could spell doom. The ferret's survival depends on its caution, its speed, and its intimate knowledge of the twisting escape routes below, a secret map known only to the ghost of the grasslands. For all its mastery, the ferret's existence is fragile, a solitary figure in a vast, indifferent world, its fate bound to the health of the prairie itself. There was a time when the prairie fell silent, and the ghostly hunter seemed to vanish, leaving only memories and empty burrows behind. In Canada, the black-footed ferret faded into legend, the last confirmed sighting a distant echo from 1937. The silent hunter's absence left a void, a missing thread in the intricate tapestry of prairie life. Its disappearance was a quiet tragedy, a warning whispered on the wind, a sign that even the most elusive spirits can be lost. The story of the black-footed ferret is a haunting reminder of the delicate balance of life on the prairie and the silent struggle of a ghost that refuses to fade away. The entire existence of the black-footed ferret is woven into the life of another prairie resident, the prairie dog. Their destinies are so tightly interlaced that the ferret's every breath, every heartbeat is a reflection of the prairie dog's fate. This is not a casual relationship, it is an absolute, unbreakable bond of dependency, forged over millennia of coevolution on the windswept grasslands. The ferret is what biologists call a specialist predator, a creature whose survival hinges on an extremely narrow diet and whose every adaptation is fine-tuned for a single purpose. In this case, its diet consists almost exclusively of prairie dogs, making the ferret a living shadow that haunts the labyrinthine towns beneath the prairie. This singular focus has shaped not only its evolution, but also its senses, its hunting strategies, and even the rhythm of its life. The ferret's long, slender body is a marvel of specialization, flexible enough to twist and turn through the narrow, winding tunnels of prairie dog burrows, with short limbs and sharp claws for digging and manoeuvring in the dark. Its senses are heightened for subterranean life, keen hearing to detect the faintest rustle, sensitive whiskers to navigate in pitch black, and eyes adapted for low light, allowing it to become a master infiltrator beneath the earth. A single ferret family, hidden deep within the safety of a burrow, requires a substantial amount of food to survive, each member dependent on the mother's relentless hunting. The kits, born blind and helpless, are utterly reliant on their mother's ability to secure a steady supply of prey from the prairie dog metropolis above and below. It is estimated that she must kill at least one prairie dog every single day. Her survival and that of her offspring balanced on a knife's edge, dictated by the abundance of prey. Over the course of a year, a single ferret can consume more than 100 prairie dogs, a testament to its voracious appetite and the relentless demands of life underground. This insatiable hunger means that the ferret cannot survive in just any patch of grassland. Only the densest, most vibrant prairie dog colonies can support its needs. These bustling underground towns are more than just hunting grounds. They are the ferret's grocery store, fortress and nursery, all rolled into one. The hunt itself is a marvel of predatory efficiency, honed by generations of survival in a world of darkness and danger. Under the cover of night, the ferret creeps through the interconnected tunnels, relying on stealth and silence to approach its quarry. When it locates a sleeping prairie dog, it strikes with lethal precision, its speed and agility making escape nearly impossible for its prey. A swift, powerful bite to the neck suffocates the prairie dog quickly and silently, minimizing the risk of alerting others in the colony. The ferret then often claims the victim's burrow as its own, transforming it into a safe haven to rest, feed and raise its young. This intimate life-and-death relationship makes the ferret a key regulator of prairie dog populations, maintaining a delicate balance within the prairie ecosystem and preventing the rodents from overwhelming the land. Yet, this specialization, while making the ferret a supremely effective hunter, is also its greatest vulnerability. A double-edged sword in the wild. Its survival is not in its own paws, but in the unpredictable fortunes of the prairie dog colonies it depends upon. The ferret has tied its fate completely to the prairie dog, its fortunes rising and falling with those of its only prey. If the prairie dog populations flourish, the ferret has a chance to thrive, its lineage continuing in the hidden world beneath the grass. But if the prairie dogs vanish, whether from disease, predators or environmental change, the ferret is doomed to follow, its specialized adaptations offering no escape. Unlike generalist predators, it cannot switch to other prey like mice or rabbits. Its body, instincts and very nature are bound to the prairie dog. The black-footed ferret has made an evolutionary pact, and the terms are non-negotiable, its fate sealed by the very adaptations that once made it so successful. This perilous dependence, this intricate dance of survival, is the central reason why the black-footed ferret, the elusive prairie bandit, found itself teetering on the brink of extinction, a specialist in a world that demands flexibility. The story of the vanishing prairie is one of silent transformation, a vast living sea of grass, once stretching unbroken to every horizon, now fading into memory. Here the black-footed ferret, the elusive bandit of the grasslands, carved out its existence in a world shaped by wind, sun, and the endless dance of predator and prey. The prairie was a realm of subtlety and abundance, where every blade of grass, every burrow and every shadow played a part in a delicate balance. Life here thrived in intricate webs, rooted in the soil, woven through the air and hidden beneath the earth. The black-footed ferret, masked and nimble, was the prairie's secretive bandit. Emerging under the cover of night, it moved like a whisper, hunting with precision and cunning. Its world revolved around the prairie dog towns, vast underground cities teeming with life, engineering the land and shaping the ecosystem. The ferret was a specialist, relying almost entirely on prairie dogs for food and shelter. Each burrow was both a larder and a refuge, each hunt a test of survival. The prairie dog, in turn, was an ecological engineer. Its digging aerated the soil. Its presence invited a host of other creatures, and its colonies became islands of biodiversity. Predators soared and slithered, drawn to the abundance below. The prairie pulsed with life, each species playing its part in a grand, interconnected design. But as the prairie began to vanish, so too did its intricate relationships. The grasslands shrank, their endless expanse broken into fragments, and the web of life began to unravel. The once continuous prairie became a patchwork of isolated remnants, each one smaller and more vulnerable than the last. Prairie dog colonies, once numbering in the millions, dwindled. Their bustling towns fell silent, their burrows left empty and exposed. For the black-footed ferret, the consequences were dire. With each vanished colony, its world grew smaller, its chances of survival more remote. The bandit of the prairie, once a master of its domain, now found itself a fugitive in a land stripped of shelter and sustenance. The loss of the prairie dog sent ripples through the ecosystem. Predators lost their prey, the soil lost its architects, and the grasslands lost their vitality. The land itself began to change, less fertile, less alive, less resilient to the forces of drought and fire. The black-footed ferret, the prairie's masked bandit, became a symbol of all that was lost, a silent witness to the unravelling of an ancient world. In the end, the prairie bandit vanished, leaving only faint traces in the dust and the memory of a wild, interconnected prairie that once was. For decades, the vast prairies of Wyoming lay silent, their rolling grasslands stretching endlessly beneath a sky painted with the colours of dusk and dawn. The wind whispered through the sage and buffalo grass, carrying with it the secrets of a vanished world. Beneath the golden light, burrows pockmarked the earth, empty, abandoned, silent. The prairie dog towns, once bustling with life, had grown still. The black-footed ferret, the elusive bandit of these plains, had disappeared, leaving only ghostly traces in the dust. Yet the land itself remembered. Coyotes called in the distance, and the shadows of swift foxes darted between the sagebrush. Hawks circled overhead, scanning the open fields for movement. The prairie, though scarred by time and loss, remained a tapestry of wild resilience. Then, as the sun rose over the Wyoming horizon in 1981, a miracle stirred beneath the surface. Deep within a remote prairie dog town, a small, secretive creature emerged from its burrow. Black-masked and nimble, the black-footed ferret crept through the grass, a living echo of a species thought lost forever. The prairie bandit moved with silent purpose, weaving through a labyrinth of tunnels carved by generations of prairie dogs. Here, in the hidden heart of Wyoming, a tiny population of ferrets had survived, unseen, unknown, clinging to life in the shadows. As dawn broke, the ferrets ventured out, their pale coats blending with the mist that hugged the ground. They hunted, played, and watched the sky for danger, their world a delicate balance between survival and oblivion. But the prairie was not without peril. Storm clouds gathered, casting long shadows over the grasslands. Disease crept silently through the burrows, striking without warning. The ferrets, already few in number, faced a new and deadly threat. The struggle for survival became desperate. Some ferrets grew weak, their energy fading as the invisible enemy spread. The prairie, once a sanctuary, became a battleground between life and death. Yet even as darkness threatened to claim them, the black-footed ferrets endured. In the quiet hours before dawn, a few resilient souls emerged from their burrows, eyes bright with the fire of persistence. These survivors, hidden in the wild heart of Wyoming, carried the genetic memory of their kind. Their journey was a testament to the power of nature's will, a fragile hope flickering against the vastness of extinction. The fate of the black-footed ferret now rested in the hands of the prairie itself. Would the land shelter them, or would the last echoes of their existence fade into the wind? In the end, the Wyoming Discovery was not just a story of survival, but a cinematic saga of landscape, wildlife, and the indomitable spirit of a species refusing to vanish. The prairie, scarred yet beautiful, held its breath, waiting to see if the ghost of the grasslands would endure. The black-footed ferret, once thought lost to the Canadian prairies, was about to reclaim its ancestral home. After generations spent behind glass and wire, the ferrets had grown restless, their instincts sharpened by the scent of earth and grass that drifted through their enclosures. As their numbers swelled, the longing for open sky and endless prairie grew stronger, a call to return to the wild, where survival would depend on wit, agility, and ancient memory. The prairie itself awaited their return, a vast golden expanse stretching beneath the endless sky, dotted with the burrows and trails of countless creatures. Here the wind carried the scent of sage and wildflowers, and the ground trembled with the movement of prairie dogs, badgers, and the silent passage of hawks overhead. Grasslands National Park, a sanctuary of short-grass prairie, offered a tapestry of life, rolling hills, sun-bleached grasses, and the intricate tunnels of prairie dog towns. This was a land shaped by wind and weather, where every blade of grass and every burrow played a part in the delicate balance of survival. The prairie dogs, ever vigilant, chattered warnings and scurried between mounds, their colonies forming a living labyrinth beneath the surface. Decades before, these same grasslands had echoed with the soft footfalls of ferrets weaving through the dusk in search of prey. Now, as the sun dipped low, the prairie was poised for the return of its elusive hunter. Dawn broke over the grasslands, painting the world in gold and shadow as the first ferrets emerged from their crates and tasted the wild air. The prairie was silent save for the rustle of grass and the distant calls of meadowlarks. No longer confined, the ferrets blinked in the sunlight, their senses alive to every movement and sound. The open prairie was both a promise and a peril. Hawks circled above, and the grass concealed both friend and foe. Instinct guided their every step as they crept low to the ground, ears pricked for danger, eyes scanning for the flicker of prairie dog tails. The young ferrets, hardened by weeks of preconditioning, were ready to test their skills in the wild. They slipped into the maze of burrows, their slender bodies vanishing into the earth where darkness and opportunity awaited. Below ground, the ancient dance of predator and prey resumed, ferrets stalking through tunnels, prairie dogs sounding alarms, the chase unfolding in silence. Each encounter was a test of speed and cunning, a lesson in survival written in the dust and darkness of the prairie. Above ground the prairie shifted with the seasons, autumn's gold giving way to winter's chill, and the ferrets learned to move with the rhythms of their new world. They explored the vastness, noses twitching at unfamiliar scents, paws pressing into the cool earth, every sense attuned to the pulse of the prairie. The prairie dogs watched warily, their lives now intertwined once more with the silent hunter that had returned from legend. Each step the ferrets took was a reclaiming of lost territory, a quiet assertion that the wild heart of the prairie still beat strong. They vanished into the labyrinth below, where survival would depend on their ability to hunt, hide, and endure. The prairie, once silent, now echoed with the return of its lost predator, a fragile hope flickering in the tall grass. The black-footed ferret, prairie bandit and survivor, was home again, its struggle for life woven into the wild tapestry of the Canadian grasslands. As the crate doors swung open, 34 black-footed ferrets hesitated at the threshold of the vast, untamed prairie. The wind carried the scent of grass and distant predators, and the world before them was both boundless and perilous. One by one the ferrets slipped into the labyrinth of prairie dog burrows, vanishing beneath the earth. Above ground the prairie stretched endlessly, concealing countless dangers in its golden waves. For 3 months the prairie was silent. Snow blanketed the land, erasing all but the faintest traces of life. The wind howled and the cold pressed in, relentless and unforgiving. No sign of the ferrets, only the emptiness of winter. Beneath the snow, the ferrets navigated a world of shadows and silence. Every tunnel could be a refuge or a trap. The prairie was alive with unseen eyes and silent hunters. The prairie is a world filled with predators. Coyotes prowled the moonlit snow, their noses pressed to the ground, searching for any sign of movement. The darkness was their ally, and the burrow entrances their hunting grounds. Badgers, too, stalked the night, powerful diggers, relentless in their pursuit of prey beneath the frozen ground. Their shadows flickered across the snow, a constant threat from below. For the ferrets, every night was a test of instinct and luck. The prairie was a gauntlet, and only the most cunning would survive. Then, at last, hope emerged. In the fresh snow, a set of paired tracks, ferret prints, unmistakable and defiant. A motion camera captured a fleeting image, a masked face, eyes bright with life. A black-footed ferret, alert and wary, peered from the safety of its burrow. Against all odds, at least one had survived the winter's cruel test. He emerged into the pale light, his coat thick and his eyes sharp. The prairie had not claimed him. He had learned to hunt, to hide, to survive. But the struggle was far from over. The land itself was changing. A year of drought had left the prairie parched and empty. Prairie dogs, the ferret's main prey, were scarce. Many had perished, their burrows abandoned. The ferrets now faced a new threat, hunger. Each day they scoured the barren grassland, searching for the faintest sign of prey. Soon the surviving females would give birth, and the need for food would become desperate. The next generation's survival would depend on the land's fragile bounty. The first hurdle had been crossed, but the prairie's trials were far from over. For the black-footed ferret, every dawn brought a new challenge, and the fight for survival had only just begun. In the vast, rolling grasslands, a silent and invisible menace lurks beneath the surface. For the black-footed ferret, the struggle for survival is not only against hunger and prowling predators, but also against a far more insidious threat, disease. Sylvatic plague, a deadly bacteria, moves unseen through the prairie, carried by tiny fleas that ride on the backs of prairie dogs. This disease, infamous for its devastation among humans, is just as lethal to the creatures of the grassland. When plague arrives, it sweeps through prairie dog colonies with terrifying speed. One by one, burrows fall silent. The bustling life of a prairie dog town, once filled with the chatter and movement of hundreds, can vanish in mere weeks, leaving only empty tunnels and a haunting stillness. For the black-footed ferret, this is a double blow. The prairie dog is not only a neighbour, but the very foundation of the ferret's world. Prairie dogs are the ferret's primary prey, and their burrows offer shelter from the harsh prairie winds and lurking dangers. When plague wipes out a colony, it erases both food and home in a single, merciless stroke. The threat of plague is ever present, a shadow that stretches across the grasslands. Even the most vibrant colonies can be reduced to desolation, the land scarred by the sudden absence of life. The ferret, already rare and vulnerable, finds itself in a landscape transformed by loss. Sometimes the first sign is subtle, a quiet patch where once there was movement, then the silence spreads. The disappearance of an entire colony is a classic sign of plague's arrival. The grassland, once alive with the scurry of prairie dogs and the watchful eyes of ferrets, becomes eerily empty. The impact ripples outward. A single dead prairie dog lying still in the grass is a harbinger of disaster. The disease does not discriminate. It claims the strong and the weak, the old and the young, leaving behind only emptiness. When plague is confirmed, the reality is stark. The disease is no longer a distant threat, but a deadly force at work in the very heart of the ferret's fragile new home. The struggle for survival becomes even more desperate, yet the black-footed ferret is not entirely defenseless. Some have been given a measure of protection, a shield against the invisible enemy. Those who carry this protection stand a better chance, but the danger is far from over. The greatest peril lies with the next generation. If the ferrets succeed in raising young in the wild, these newborn kits will face the world with no immunity. Tiny, blind and helpless, they are utterly exposed to the ravages of plague. A single outbreak could sweep through the burrows, wiping out an entire generation before it ever has a chance to grow. The future of the species hangs in the balance, threatened by a foe that cannot be seen or fought with tooth or claw. The plague's reach extends even deeper, touching the very fabric of the prairie ecosystem. The burrows, carved by generations of prairie dogs, are home to a hidden world of insects and invertebrates. These creatures, many unknown and unseen, form the foundation of life beneath the grass. The arrival of plague disrupts this delicate balance. As prairie dogs vanish, so too do the countless lives that depend on their presence. The underground world becomes a graveyard, its intricate web of life unravelling. The black-footed ferret, a survivor against all odds, now faces a challenge that tests the limits of endurance and adaptation. In the shadow of plague, every day is a fight for existence. The fate of the prairie's most elusive hunter is bound to the health of the land itself and to the silent, invisible battles waged beneath the grass. In the heart of the vast, whispering prairie, where the grass sways beneath endless skies and the wind carries secrets of survival, a silent drama unfolded, one that would mark a turning point for an entire species. Deep within the labyrinth of burrows, a female black-footed ferret prepared for a momentous task, nurturing the first wild-born kits in generations. As spring melted into the golden warmth of summer, the prairie blossomed with new life. Beneath the surface, the mother ferret moved with purpose, her senses sharp to every vibration and scent. She guarded her burrow, ever watchful, as tiny kits, blind and helpless, huddled close for warmth and safety. Days passed, and soon the first brave faces appeared at the burrow's mouth, curious, wide-eyed kits tasting the prairie air for the very first time. The dawn painted the grasslands gold as the new generation explored their world, each step a triumph of instinct and resilience. Under the cover of dusk, the mother gently carried her kits one by one to safer burrows, her movements swift, silent, and sure. Each relocation was a lesson in survival, a testament to the mother's devotion and the kit's growing strength. 3 tiny kits, their fur still soft and pale, tumbled and played at the entrance, learning the ways of the wild. For the first time in over 70 years, a black-footed ferret family thrived beneath the open Canadian sky. The kits chased each other through the grass, pouncing and tumbling, their playful energy a promise of hope for the future. The Prairie Bandit, once a ghost on these lands, now moved boldly, her young following, learning, thriving. Each milestone, eyes opening, first steps above ground, first playful hunt, was a victory written in the language of survival. The prairie echoed with the quiet triumph of new life, a wild generation born to reclaim their ancestral home. Against all odds, the first wild-born kits had arrived, heralds of hope and proof that the spirit of the prairie endures. The black-footed ferret's return is not just the story of a single animal. It is the heartbeat of the prairie itself, echoing through the grasslands with every cautious step and every bright, curious gaze. In the hush of dawn, as golden light spills across the open plains, the ferret emerges, a living testament to resilience, a silent promise that hope can take root even in the most fragile corners of the world. Once thought lost to silence, the ferret's presence now stirs the prairie's ancient rhythms. Its legacy is written in the soft earth of burrows, in the watchful eyes of prairie dogs, and in the flutter of burrowing owls overhead. The ferret's fate is woven tightly with the prairie dog, whose tunnels carve lifelines beneath the soil, sheltering not just ferrets, but a multitude of creatures, owls, insects and reptiles, all thriving in the intricate web of life. Each burrow is a sanctuary, each tunnel a thread in the vast tapestry of the grasslands. The prairie is alive with quiet dramas, the chase, the hunt, the gentle nurturing of new life beneath the open sky. To save the prairie bandit is to save the chorus of the prairie, the rustle of insects, the call of the owl, the scurry of lizards, and the silent, watchful prowl of the ferret itself. The prairie is not a collection of isolated lives, but a living, breathing web, delicate, complex, and beautiful. The loss of one thread, one voice, can unravel the harmony of the whole. Storms still gather on the horizon. Disease, predation, and the slow shrinking of wild spaces threaten the balance, casting long shadows across the grass. Yet the prairie endures. The ferret's fight is not a sprint, but a patient, tireless journey, a quiet persistence that echoes through every sunrise and every cautious step into the unknown. Each new dawn brings a chance for renewal. The prairie bandit's legacy is hope. Hope that life can return, that the wild heart of the grasslands can beat strong once more. The prairie's story is not over. It is written in paw prints and wing beats, in the hush of twilight and the promise of dawn. In a world so often marked by loss, the return of the black-footed ferret is a quiet miracle, a beacon shining across the grasslands, lighting the way for all who call the prairie home. Extinction is not the only ending. The prairie whispers of second chances, of resilience, of the wild's ability to heal and flourish when given the space to breathe. The masked face of the black-footed ferret, peering from its burrow, is not a symbol of what has been lost, but of what endures, of what can be saved, if the prairie is allowed to thrive. In the hush of dusk, as the prairie breathes and the ferret slips through the grass, hope lingers, a quiet victory for the silent hunter, and a resounding triumph for the wild heart of the prairie. As the sun slips beneath the horizon and the prairie is cloaked in indigo shadow, a new world awakens, one ruled by silence and stealth. The black-footed ferret, masked and nimble, emerges under the cover of night. its senses sharpened by generations of survival in the dark. With each careful step, the ferret becomes a phantom among the grasses, guided by the whisper of a breeze and the faintest tremble in the earth. Its eyes, wide and luminous, cut through the gloom, seeking the subtle movements of its most critical prey, the prairie dog. The hunt is a delicate dance of patience and precision. The ferret slips into a burrow, moving with astonishing agility through twisting tunnels, its slender body perfectly adapted to this subterranean labyrinth. In the hush of darkness, the chase unfolds, swift and silent. A sudden lunge, a burst of energy, and the hunt is won. Yet the night is not the ferret's alone. All around the prairie stirs with nocturnal life. Burrowing owls, silent and watchful, perch at the entrance of their dens, their keen eyes scanning for movement. Insects chirp and hum, weaving a gentle tapestry of sound beneath the stars. Snakes glide unseen through the grass, while the distant yip of a coyote echoes across the open land. The ferret moves through this living nightscape with cautious grace, aware of dangers both seen and unseen. Predators prowl, storms loom, and the darkness itself hides countless mysteries. But for the black-footed ferret, the night is not just a challenge, it is an opportunity, a realm where its strengths shine brightest. As dawn approaches and the sky blushes with the promise of day, the ferret slips back into the safety of its burrow. The night's work is done. In the quiet before sunrise, the prairie rests, and the silent hunter waits once more for the world to turn. In the shadows and silent hunts of the night, the black-footed ferret's story continues, a testament to the wild heart that beats on, unseen, beneath the stars. Beneath the rolling prairie, hidden from the eyes of day and the dangers of night, lies a world few ever see, a labyrinth of tunnels and chambers carved deep into the earth. This is the black-footed ferret's realm, a fortress fashioned not by its own paws, but inherited from its most vital prey, the prairie dog. Within these sprawling burrow networks, the ferret finds both sanctuary and challenge. The entrance is narrow, shielded by tufts of grass and the scattered soil of countless excavations. Inside, the tunnels twist and turn, branching into side passages and cosy dens. Here, the air is cool and still, the earth muffling the sounds of the world above. The ferret navigates this maze with ease, its slender body sliding through tight bends and narrow shafts. It claims abandoned prairie dog chambers, reshaping them to fit its needs, scratching away loose dirt, enlarging sleeping hollows and clearing debris. Each modification is purposeful, a snug nest for resting, hidden alcoves for storing food, escape routes for when danger comes calling. But the burrow is rarely empty. Prairie dogs, ever watchful, may return to reclaim their ancestral halls. Sometimes the ferret and the rodent cross paths in these shadowy corridors, a tense standoff, a moment of wary calculation. Other times, snakes wind their way through the tunnels seeking warmth or prey. Burrowing owls, too, may share these underground highways, their soft calls echoing in the dark. Defending its home, the ferret relies on stealth and speed. At the faintest hint of threat, a shifting shadow, a tremor in the earth, it slips deeper into the warren, vanishing into side tunnels or doubling back through hidden exits. Its senses are attuned to every vibration, every scent that signals a visitor or an intruder. Here, beneath the prairie, the black-footed ferret's world is one of constant vigilance and adaptation. Each burrow becomes a stronghold, a nursery, a larder, and a last line of defence. In these earthen halls, the ferret is both tenant and guardian, shaping the secret architecture of survival, one tunnel at a time. Above the hidden tunnels, the prairie is alive with change. With each passing season, the landscape shifts, lush and green in spring, sun-baked and golden by summer's peak, brittle and sparse as autumn fades, and finally shrouded in frost and silence through winter's grip. For the black-footed ferret, survival depends on reading these subtle cues, adapting its every move to the rhythm of the land. In spring, the ferret emerges more often from its burrow, drawn by the scent of new life. Prairie dogs are plentiful, their young venturing above ground, and the ferret's hunts become more frequent, each chase fueled by the promise of a fresh meal. The dens are cleaned and expanded, ready for raising kits in the safety of hidden chambers. As summer's heat settles over the grasslands, the prairie teems with activity by night. The ferret hunts under cover of darkness, navigating the maze of sun-cracked soil and dense vegetation. Water is scarce, so the ferret relies on the moisture found in its prey, and the cool tunnels offer refuge from the relentless sun. Autumn brings a crispness to the air and a gradual thinning of the prairie's cloak. Prey becomes wary, and the ferret's territory expands as it searches further for food. This is a time of preparation, stockpiling remnants of meals, reinforcing burrows, and teaching young kits the paths of survival before winter's arrival. When winter descends, the world above is blanketed in snow, and the prairie falls silent. The ferret retreats deep underground, venturing out only when hunger demands. Its movements grow cautious, conserving energy for the lean months ahead. In these frozen days, every scrap of food is precious, and the warmth of the tunnel becomes a vital shield against the biting cold. Through each season, the black-footed ferret's life is one of constant adaptation. It reads the shifting winds, the scent of rain, the crunch of frost underfoot. In the ever-changing prairie, survival means more than strength. It means understanding the land's quiet language and moving in harmony with its ancient, unending cycle. Beneath the whispering grasses and within the winding tunnels, an invisible conversation unfolds. Black-footed ferrets are silent shadows by day, but their world is alive with subtle signals, each one a vital thread in the fabric of prairie life. A soft, high-pitched chirp echoes through the burrow. It is a mother calling her kits, summoning them from the safety of their nest. The kits respond in kind, their tiny voices rising in excitement as they clamber toward her warmth. These vocalizations are reserved for the close darkness underground, a private chorus rarely heard by any other creature. But above ground, the language changes. Here, scent is the silent messenger. With each cautious step, ferrets brush their bodies against the tunnel's walls, leaving behind faint traces from their scent glands. These invisible markings tell others this burrow is claimed, this path is safe. Along the prairie dog tunnels, a ferret pauses, raising its tail and releasing a musky warning. For rivals, it's a clear message, keep away. Body language, too, speaks volumes. A lowered head pressed close to the earth signals caution as the ferret listens for danger. When threatened, it arches its back, fur bristling, mouth open in a silent snarl, a display meant to intimidate without a sound. Playful kits wrestle and tumble, their movements a rehearsal for adulthood, each pounce and leap a lesson in the art of survival. In the hush of the prairie night, these messages pass unseen and unheard by all but their own kind. Through chirps, scents and silent gestures, the black-footed ferret weaves its story into the land, communicating not with words, but with the timeless language of instinct. Beneath the endless sky, the prairie is a living tapestry, woven from countless lives, each one connected to the next in a delicate balance. Here, the black-footed ferret is both hunter and hunted, a vital thread in the ecosystem's web. As night falls, the ferret emerges, guided by hunger and instinct. Its primary quarry is the prairie dog, a keystone species whose tunnels shape the landscape and whose presence supports a multitude of lives. With silent precision, the ferret slips through the labyrinthine burrows, relying on stealth and skill to secure its next meal. Each hunt is a test, not just of survival, but of the delicate equilibrium that governs the grasslands. But the ferret's story does not end with the hunt. In the open prairie, danger lurks in every shadow. Owls glide silently overhead, eyes sharp and unblinking. Coyotes prowl the moonlit fields, noses twitching at the faintest scent. Even the rattlesnake, coiled in the cool earth, waits for an unwary traveller. The ferret must remain ever vigilant, for in this world predator can become prey in the blink of an eye. Yet every creature plays its part. The prairie dog's grazing keeps the grasses short, nourishing the soil and inviting new growth. The burrows offer shelter not only to ferrets, but to burrowing owls, snakes and insects. As the ferret hunts, it thins the prairie dog colonies, preventing disease and supporting habitat diversity. Even in death, each animal returns its energy to the land, nourishing the next generation. In the quiet dawn, the prairie breathes as one. The black-footed ferret, the prairie dog, the owl and the coyote all are bound together, their fates intertwined. There are no villains or heroes here, only a circle of life spinning endlessly beneath the grassland sun. In the heart of the prairie, survival is a daily contest, a relentless dance with danger where every shadow and sound could herald a threat. For the black-footed ferret, natural predators are ever present. A silent owl, wings stretched wide against the moon, glides low and fast. With eyes adapted for the darkness, it can spot the faintest movement among the grasses. The ferret freezes, heart pounding, relying on stillness to avoid detection. Sometimes it works. Other times the only escape is a desperate dash for the nearest burrow, the ground a blur beneath nimble paws. Coyotes, cunning and persistent, patrol the rolling plains. Their noses catch every scent, their ears prick at the slightest rustle. The ferret learns to move with the wind, masking its presence, and to use the intricate maze of prairie dog tunnels as a fortress. Underground, the coyotes reach ends, but the danger lingers, waiting for a momentary lapse, a careless step into the open. Even below the earth, threats persist. Rattlesnakes, masters of ambush, coil silently in the cool darkness. The ferret approaches each turn in the tunnel with caution, senses straining for the faintest warning rattle. Sometimes a sharp retreat is the only option. But predators aren't the only hazards. Sudden prairie storms sweep across the land, rain pounding and lightning splitting the sky. Flooded burrows force the ferret to higher ground, exposed and vulnerable. Droughts parch the earth, shrinking prey populations and making every hunt a test of endurance. To survive, the ferret adapts. It learns the patterns of its hunters, the safe routes through the grass, the warning signs of weather and snake alike. Each night is a new trial, a testament to the resilience woven into the very fabric of the grasslands. In this world, survival is not guaranteed. But with every threat faced and every narrow escape, the black-footed ferret endures, an emblem of persistence in a landscape both beautiful and unforgiving. Beneath the prairie, in the safety of a shadowy burrow, the story of survival begins anew. Here, nestled in a bed of grasses, tiny black-footed ferret kits are born, blind, helpless and utterly dependent on their mother's warmth. The world above is a distant, rumbling mystery, but underground life stirs with quiet promise. In their earliest days, the kits huddle close, their eyes tightly shut, bodies fragile and pink. Each day brings subtle change. Their fur thickens, soft and pale, and faint black markings appear on tiny feet and masked faces. As their senses awaken, so too does their curiosity. Soon the burrow echoes with the squeaks and playful tumbles of growing kits. They chase each other through narrow tunnels, wrestling and pouncing, learning the skills that will one day mean the difference between life and death. Through play, they master the art of stalking, the quick dodge, the silent approach. Every tussle and tumble is a lesson, preparing them for the dangers that lurk beyond their underground home. Their mother watches, patient and vigilant. She brings fresh prey, teaching the kits to hunt with sharp teeth and clever paws. Each meal is a lesson, how to hold, how to bite, how to survive. Day by day, the kits grow stronger, bolder, until the urge to explore pushes them ever closer to the burrow's entrance. One by one they emerge, blinking against the golden prairie light. The grass sways above, hiding new adventures and new perils. With every unsteady step, the kits learn the rhythms of the wild, when to hide, when to chase, when to run. As summer deepens, play gives way to practice. The time comes to strike out alone, to carve a place in the vastness of the grasslands. From helpless newborns to daring young hunters, the journey of the black-footed ferret kit is a miracle of growth and learning, a fleeting chapter, but one that shapes the survivor within. As the first blush of dawn sweeps across the endless prairie, a hush settles over the grasslands, soft golden light spilling through swaying stems. The world above the burrow stirs to life, each blade of grass bathed in dew, each shadow stretching with the promise of a new day. Hidden among the roots, the black-footed ferret kits sense the subtle shift. Their mother is already awake, her keen eyes alert as she slips from the burrow's mouth into the cool morning air. All around, the ecosystem awakens in a symphony of sound and movement. Prairie dogs stand sentry atop their mounds, tiny paws pressed to chests as they chirp warnings and greetings. Meadowlarks call from distant fence posts, their liquid songs echoing over the wide expanse. In the gentle hush, insects buzz and flutter, weaving invisible paths through the grass. For the ferret family, dawn is a time of opportunity. The cover of morning haze allows them to slip quietly through the undergrowth, scouting for prey. With practiced ease, the mother ferret moves swiftly, her slender form weaving between tunnels and tufts, teaching her young to move unnoticed beneath the watchful eyes of hawks and foxes. The kits, now bolder from their nightly lessons, follow in her wake. Their small bodies dart and pause, learning the language of the land. The rustle that means danger, the shadow that signals food. Every heartbeat is attuned to the prairie's pulse, the scurry of a mouse, the distant drumming of hooves, the wind sighing through the grass. As sunlight spills brighter across the land, the ferret family returns to the shelter of their burrow. Above, the prairie bursts with life, each creature playing its part in the delicate balance of dawn. For the black-footed ferrets, the morning's lessons are etched in memory, another step in the dance of survival beneath the endless sky. As the sun dips low on the horizon, the prairie transforms once more. Golden light fades to dusky lavender, shadows stretching long and deep across the rippling grass. A hush falls, different from the stillness of dawn. This is the quiet anticipation of night. Above the burrow, the world slows. Prairie dogs retreat to their tunnels, their silhouettes vanishing in the waning glow. Meadowlarks fall silent, replaced by the soft chorus of crickets tuning up for their nightly serenade. The air grows cool, scented with earth and wildflowers, as a gentle breeze stirs the grass, whispering secrets to the coming darkness. Beneath the prairie's surface, the black-footed ferret family stirs in their hidden fortress. The kits, eyes wide and gleaming in the gloom, sense the change. Their mother is already alert, her ears pricked to the sounds above. A rustle here, a distant thump there. She moves to the burrow's entrance, nose twitching, reading the night air. Twilight is their realm. As the last rays of sunlight slip away, the ferrets prepare for the hunt. The mother leads her young in silent procession, emerging into the cool dusk. Every movement is careful, deliberate, a dance of shadows beneath the rising stars. They pause, listening for the scurry of prey, for the warning call of an owl overhead. The prairie at dusk is a place of mystery and promise, where danger and opportunity walk hand in hand. For the black-footed ferrets, the fading light signals the start of their nightly quest, a journey through darkness, guided by instinct and the lessons of the land. Under the vast starlit sky, the night watch begins. As night deepens on the grasslands, a hidden strength pulses through the prairie. A resilience woven from countless lives, each thread vital to the whole. Here, the black-footed ferret moves as both hunter and guardian, playing a quiet but crucial role in the ecosystem's balance. With each careful hunt, the ferret helps keep prairie dog populations in check. This, in turn, prevents overgrazing and allows native grasses to flourish, their roots holding the earth firm against the wind. The tunnels left behind by prairie dogs become sanctuaries for insects, burrowing owls and snakes, while the ferret's presence keeps these communities in harmony. Above ground, swift foxes and badgers prowl, but the ferret's nocturnal patrols ensure no one species dominates the night. The grasses ripple, sheltering mice and grasshoppers, each a link in the chain of life. When the ferret disappears from the land, imbalance creeps in. Prairie dog numbers surge, grasslands thin, and erosion scars the soil. But with the return of the black-footed ferret, stability is restored. The prairie breathes easier, its rhythms aligned once more. The songs of insects, the whisper of wind, and the silent dance of predator and prey all speak to an ancient truth. In this vast tapestry, every strand matters. Here, under the endless sky and the watchful gaze of stars, the prairie endures, not through strength alone, but through the delicate, persistent balance that the black-footed ferret helps maintain. This is the web of resilience, spun anew with every nightfall.